Hey, what's up everyone? It's Brandon from Tattooing 101 and welcome to another video. Today what we're going to break down is how to use Procreate for beginners. If you are first starting out, and it could be very overwhelming. Whenever I first got my iPad Pro for the first time, I tried using it for a while and actually sold it. I went back to pencil and paper for a very long time until I saw everyone else using it. So I finally bought another one and made myself learn Procreate. So I'm going to tell you the things that I wish I would have known when I first started out on Procreate to make things a whole lot easier for you. And like always, make sure you are liking and subscribing down below and hitting that little bell icon so you can watch all my future videos and be notified whenever new videos come out. All right, let's get into this tutorial. Okay, now that we are ready for the explanation of everything, the first thing I'd like to say, whenever I first started out, the screen on the iPad Pro is really slick. So if you're used to drawing on paper, it can be really hard for you to try to get used to drawing on this. The biggest thing that helped me with this would be get a screen protector. This one's kind of a matte finish and it has a finish on it that makes it a lot easier to draw on. I did touch base with this with another video of how to draw for a tattoo design. So when you're done going through this, if you would like to see me draw an actual tattoo design, make sure you check out that video as well. Awesome, so let's get into it. When you start using your Procreate app, there'll be a ton of things on here. This is all like the tattoos I have coming up, the tattoos I've done. And with this, it's really nice the way they have everything set up because you could really keep everything super organized in the way you keep everything. Like, these are called stacks. So what you do here is you will have everything set up. So this was for a sleeve I was working on. These are tattoos I have ready to go. These are some of the prints I've done in the past. So you could keep everything really nice and organized whenever you are doing this. And the way you do this is, say I wanted to stack these, so you hold onto it, hold down with your finger, and then you can move it around. And if you just hold here and let go, it'll make a new stack. And you can come down here, reword this however you want it to. So it'll have all your stuff ready to go. You can keep everything nice and organized and not have to worry about trying to find stuff. Or if you have a client coming in that has multiple tattoos that they're wanting, you don't have to search through your stuff because it could be super confusing and frustrating. So the way they have this set up is really awesome for what tattoo artists use it for. Okay, so the next thing I would definitely recommend you doing if you are first starting out with Procreate would be make sure you are using your layers. All these layers are really important on making a really great tattoo design, and I also go into detail about this in my other video. So I'm just going to touch base on this in this video. So when you are drawing for a tattoo design, make sure you are drawing in layers. Everything you do is on a different layer. So this would be my sketch, this would be my rough draft, and this would be my final design. And I also like to have a layer of the part of the body that I'm actually tattooing. It just makes everything a whole lot easier when you are getting into drawing for tattoo designs, getting flow with everything, because flow is really important when it comes to tattooing. So make sure you are using your layers. It's really important, and that way if you do make a mistake, it could be super easy to fix if you're doing everything on different layers, especially if you're going into doing color and you're working with, 50 to 100 layers on like a print or something like that. Awesome. So another thing I'd like to touch base on would be the paper that you're actually using. If you're drawing for a tattoo design that you're going to print off, you want to make it the closest you can to a size of a piece of paper. So with that, it would be like paper right here, so 11 inches by 8.5. That would be great. But if you are working with bigger designs, like if you are wanting to make prints and stuff like that, so make sure you are drawing the appropriate size for what you're wanting to make. So if you want to make a print that's really big, you could go in here and do that through here. One thing you want to think about, the bigger you make your design, the least amount of layers you're going to have available inside that design. So if you're working on making a design for a poster, you're not going to have a ton of layers, which can make it really hard to try to create a really good design or a really good print with limited layers. So I try to stick around 11 by 17 is my go-to size for if I'm going to get something printed off or something like that. Awesome. So now that we went over the actual canvases, we'll go in here and show you a little bit of how I do color, how I do shading, the quickest way for tattoo application. Now, if I'm going to do a print, that's going to be a little bit differently because there's just so many different layers that are involved. Like this one I did, there is just a ton of different layers on this one to create this design. So let's go into this one. So if I was going to do this design, you want to make sure, like even with this one, I have a ton of different ones. Different designs on here, which you can do as well. So if you are going in to do color on this design, make sure you're on a different layer. If you're doing a lining layer, you want to make sure you're doing your color layer on a different one, just in case you do make a mistake, of course. So with this one, what I do is I'll go down here, and if you hit reference, that means that anything you do on this other layer, this is going to be a reference. So even though I'm on a different layer, I could use my highlight tool and go through and highlight everything. Now, if you didn't have this as your reference, I'll show you what happens. If it's not on your reference and you're on a different layer, it's not going to highlight anything because it's showing up as a completely different layer. So make sure you're using this tool because it helped me out a ton when I was first learning how to use this program. Awesome, so now we can go through and highlight some stuff. What that's going to do is when you are using this for drawing and shading, it's not going to be able to draw anywhere else besides where you just highlighted. So you could go through here and just do some shading right here, right like that. And that's the only thing that's going to show up. I really like this a lot. It helped me out a ton because I didn't have to go through the whole design. What I would do normally before I learned this trick was I go through and shade this area and have to go back and erase everything around it, which was super annoying. So I really like this. I use it pretty much every day. Any day I'm drawing a tattoo design, this is the most used trick that I have. Awesome, let's go through here and we'll talk about the different brushes on here. So there's a ton of brushes for Procreate. You could buy some. I bought a ton that I use, and some I don't use as much. So the best thing you could do is really go through and try to figure out what works best for you. I really like these battle damage ones, these murder weapons ones. I use them a ton, and the way that I draw and the way I tattoo, it just works for me. But if you're doing like realism or doing script, something like that, there's a ton of different brushes out there for something like that. So yeah, you can go through here and different brushes do different things. Whenever I'm first starting like sketching a design, what I like to use is a pencil. So we'll get off here real quick. Let's go to a different design. Cool. So yeah, with this, what I like to use is a Perfect Sketcher or the pencil. There are some that come free with Procreate, so you could use them. But the more you grow with it, you'll probably want to venture out and get some more brushes. So if you're first sketching, I like to use my red, and then you're just getting your idea of where everything needs to be. And you could also change the opacity on it. So if you don't want it super dark, all you have to do is go through here, hit the little N, and you could change the opacity right here, which helps out if you're going to draw over your sketch and everything. It just helps out a lot with that. So another trick that I use a lot would be if you're trying to make a perfect circle, you have to get tools, you have to get protractors, things like that to be able to do that on pencil and paper. So the greatest thing with this, if you want to make a perfect circle, all you have to do is draw a circle and hold it. And then it's going to make a perfect circle for you. Now, if you want to have an absolute perfect circle, this one's kind of wonky because I didn't draw it perfectly to begin with. All you have to do is press right beside here. You can see how it's turning back and forth. So that's just holding down. As soon as you hold down, you press your finger right here and then let go. And that is an absolute perfect circle every time. So you could use that a lot. It helps out a ton as well. You could also do this with different shapes. If you want to do an oval, hold down, you can make an oval, change the size by doing it like this. So yeah, this is awesome as well. And you can do it with a lot of different shapes. So keep that in mind. All you have to do is draw your shape, hold down, and it'll make it perfect. So now we went through the biggest ones that helped me. I'm gonna show you a little bit about if you were wanting to draw like realism or something like that, doing a tattoo of realism. Now, all these tricks are for beginners. I'm gonna go in depth in a couple videos in the future. This is just for if you're first getting into the iPad and wanting to figure out exactly how it works, just because it can be super frustrating trying to learn everything. This is the video for you. But like I said, in the future, I'm going to go in depth on a lot more things, showing you how to do things on a daily basis. Awesome, so the biggest thing with this, you could see that this design is super dark. The things that I would do here to help out making a stencil for this design would be the tool right here. So what this is going to do is be able to brighten up this design so you can see all the little highlights, all the little detail in the darkest areas in the actual tattoo. And sometimes if I'm doing a realistic tattoo, I'll have a couple different ones printed off, the dark one, the lighter one, and the one right in the middle, just so I could see all the depth and everything that I need to do. So all you need to do is come right here, and this one's already in black and gray, but if it was a color design that you want to make black and gray, all you have to do is go down to the saturation and turn it over to here. That would make that design black and gray. And then you could go here to your brightness and change
the tones that you want it to be. So with this design, I'll probably keep it about right here. I could still see where all the dark areas need to be, but it lightens it up enough that I could see where all the detail and everything is in the actual tattoo. This is one thing that'll help you out a ton if you are getting more into realism or something like that. This is a great tip that you could use. Awesome, so these are the top tricks that you could use as soon as you get Procreate, as soon as you get your iPad, that'll help you out a ton. The biggest tip I could give you is just don't get frustrated. I know it's really hard trying to learn a new platform and get used to everything, just like it was for me. Like I said, I ended up selling my first iPad because I just couldn't get the hang of it. I didn't really want to get used to it, so just stick at it. I promise that it'll be a lot easier for you, and it's a lot easier for tattoo application than having to carry around paints all the time, you know, a pencil and paper. You could throw this in your backpack and pretty much have every sort of art readily available to use on this little piece of equipment. So keep at it, and like I said, I'm going to come out with some more videos showing you more in-depth things with Procreate that'll help you out a ton in the future. But as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and as always, all you have to do is like and subscribe down below and hit that little bell icon so you could get notifications when new videos come out. You guys have a great day.